Welcome to the Golf Fitness Bomb Squad podcast with Chris Finn, a production of P4S Golf. Welcome to the Golf Fitness Bomb Squad. I'm your host, Chris Finn, and today I wanted to talk about a question that I've gotten actually a couple times, just honestly from being at the golf course and talking with some golfers, and they were obviously know what I do, and they kind of would ask me, hey Chris, how do I know like if the person I'm working with is good? like how do I know, whether they're currently working with somebody or they're maybe they're thinking of working with somebody? They're basically saying, Chris, like, how do I know if I'm going to work with someone, how to like interview them to know that they actually know what they're talking about and they can help me? Or B, if I'm currently working with somebody, how do I know that, they're not missing anything and that they actually know, what it is that I should be doing? And obviously these are golfers and, and they're looking to, whether it's gain speed or, get rid of discomfort that they do have, whatever it may be. And so my answer to them is actually kind of stupidly simple, I guess. And particularly for the people who are already working with someone, my answer is always, well, are you better than when you started working with them? Like literally just, deadpan, like ask that question. Like, you say, is the person I'm working with how do I know if the person I'm working with is any good? I say, well, you went to them because you had pain. Is your pain gone? You went to them because you wanted to hit it further. Are you swinging it faster? Like kind of a stupid, simple question, but it's amazing to me how many times people they're not, it's not an emphatic, oh yeah, like I went with back pain and my back pain is totally gone. It's like, well, I still have a little bit every now and then, but then there's like this rationalization that that the person they're working with actually knows what they're doing. And then I'm like, okay, well, how long has it been? They're like, oh, it's been like 3 months. I'm like, dude, no, they're not good. They're not helping. Either you're not doing your stuff or they don't know what they're doing, right? It's a two-way street here that we talk about, if somebody knows what they're doing. So I think if you are currently working with somebody, and let's say you're working, there's kind of three categories people work for, right? Number one is they're trying to get rid of pain. Number two is they're trying to get rid of a distance loss, so trying to add distance. Or number three, some combination. It's going to be for longevity, whether it's getting more mobile, getting, hitting the ball further, getting rid of pain. Maybe kind of a combination of all three of those. So if you're trying to get rid of pain, generally speaking, you're going to go to a physio, right? You're going to a physical therapist. Within 4 weeks, you should see significant improvement in pain. Okay. Now, depending how long it's been going on, if it's been going on for 10 years, it may take more than 4 weeks to totally get it to go away. But a good therapist, a good coach measures, right? They don't guess, they assess. So they're going to say, hey, how often do you feel pain? They're going to look at a movement. Maybe it's touching your toes or swinging a golf club. Maybe you're like, hey, I can play, I can swing the club 50 times and then my back hurts. I can play 10 holes, and then my back hurts, right? There's going to be some objective measure, and it may be subjective objective, which means you say, hey, usually on about the 11th hole, my back hurts, right? So that's a subjective statement, but we're going to use 11th hole as kind of the objective measure to say, hey, did it get better or did it get worse, right? I think then what you're going to do then is, as you're moving through your treatment protocols and trying to assess, am I getting better or not? You're going to start to say, well, hey, so how many holes are you getting to play now? And then you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm getting to like the 15th hole before it hurts, right? That's measurable progress. Okay. So that whatever you're doing, that's helping. You're playing more holes before your pain sets in. So number one, you should measure and hold the person you're seeing accountable to that. Number two would be, if you're looking at a distance gain, you should see, the correct way that it should be approached is, number one, to make sure you have rotary mobility in your shoulders, your hips, your spine, and your neck. That should be the focus. Stretching your hamstrings isn't going to make you hit the ball further. Hate to break that myth. But those are the four areas. And then there should be some strength work, right? You should be looking at squat patterns, hinge patterns, which is like a deadlift move, a kettlebell swing, something like that. Press, upper body push patterns, so like a bench press or dumbbell press, whatever that may be. No need to do any overhead work, right? We don't in golf, we don't ever do overhead lifting. That's just going to put shoulders at risk unnecessarily. But there should be strength work where you're doing some significant load, obviously with good form. And then there should be an element of power that's in there, explosive, particularly vertical power. So plyometrics or some jumping motions. For those of you listening, maybe you have bad hips or bad knees and impact is not a good option or viable option. Overhead slams with a med ball that increases vertical thrust without putting a lot of impact on your on your joints, right? Something along those lines, as well as power movements for your upper body, right? So pushing, whether it's med balls or whatever that may be. So when we're talking about if you are with someone who knows what they're doing in the speed world, those should be check marks along the line. They also should have measured all of your mobility when you started. They also should have measured your club head speed. They should have measured, strength. Those numbers should have all been measured when you started. And as you're working with them, they should retest them. Shocker, right? At least every 8 weeks, but definitely every 4, right? Especially your mobility, to see how that's improving and if you need to make adjustments. Now, if you have people who know all the right things to do, but you don't do what they tell you to do, you don't put in at least 90 minutes in a week, like, you're not going to get better, and it's not their fault, it's yours. I don't know what to tell you in those cases, other than just maybe start doing what they're telling you to do. But those are the things that you should be looking for if you're working with somebody for, golf fitness or golf, rehab type stuff, to know if they're actually any good. They should be testing. They should be retesting. You should be objectively be able to say, yeah, I can play 5, 6, 7 holes more than I used to without pain. I can actually, my club head speed was at 90 and now it's at 93. And I'm doing it without pain. Those should be statements that you can very emphatically say. If you can't emphatically say those things, you may want to look at going to someone else. Right. So that's for if you're currently working with somebody. If you do not work with anyone, you're like, hey, how do I know who to go work with? Obviously in either case, I'm going to be biased and say we can probably help you, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in China, or you're Louisiana or Connecticut, or here in North Carolina where we live, right? We can help you from any of our virtual programs, or obviously locally in person. But maybe you have somebody down the road who you're thinking of going to work with. When you go in to talk to them, or maybe you're working with them virtually, when you give them a call, there should be an initial intake screen. So they should evaluate you, look at your rotary centers. They should look at your upper body power, your lower body power, your strength numbers. They should take a medical history in terms of injuries that you've had. And then they should be able to outline for you expectations. I think one of the biggest things for me with any provider is I always will ask them, do you guarantee, if I do what you tell me to do you guarantee that I'm going to get results 100% of the time? And are you willing to give me a full 100% money back guarantee? I will do that, right? Because that's what we do. If you do everything that you're supposed to do, you do your 90 minutes a week, you do 85% of the workouts we ask you to do, there's no reason why you won't accomplish your goals. Like, it's physiology, it's science. It's one of the simplest things in life in terms of, do A, then B happens, right? The problem is doing A sometimes is hard for people. There's life gets in the way, those sorts of things. Or sometimes you're told to do the wrong A, right? So I think when you go see somebody, there should be a roadmap and expectation somewhere along the lines of 4 to 6 weeks. If you do have pain, that starts to feel better. Somewhere along the lines that in 2 to 3 months, you should start seeing, from a speed perspective, 2 to 4 miles an hour, club head speed improvements. There should be those metrics and those expectations set out. And there should also be kind of, guarantees in a way around that. Now, if you got people who are not willing to do those sorts of things, I'd go somewhere else, right? Because I'm not going to put time in. If someone's not confident enough to guarantee the results, I'm not going to waste my time with that. So I think when you're looking to go somewhere, maybe you currently have somebody, either way, I think it's a lot of the same stuff. And are they data driven? Are they actually looking and assessing the right stuff? Are they doing a lot of the wrong stuff? Or maybe they're not assessing at all. They just walk in, they're like, cool, let's do some training. Let's get you sweating and breathing really, really hard. Like that isn't necessarily going to translate into golf performance. So hopefully that's helpful. I thought it was an interesting question. It was kind of one of these things. I got like 2 or 3 people came up to me within like 2 days. They're like, hey, how do you know if the guy I'm working with is any good? Like, should I come see you? Like, basically they're asking if they should switch to come see me. And I'm always hesitant to say like, oh yeah, definitely leave. And I always, because if you're working with somebody who you get along with and they are like, they know what they're doing by all means, and it's working, and you're showing up and doing the work and getting better, like keep going. Like don't change. Like you got something, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Unfortunately though, there's a lot of people who have stuff that is broke, or maybe they're not even doing something. Unfortunately, I'll just be frank, everything that we've learned has been postgraduate. I didn't learn any of this stuff in PT school. None of my staff, none of our team learned much of anything that we do in strength and conditioning, in college. Like, it's all been postgraduate work, that research that we've done in the field. We've tried it out, we've measured it, we say, okay, this stuff works, this stuff doesn't work. So there definitely is something to be said about somebody who does their own testing, who's willing to back it. And as a consumer, it's my firm belief that you should hold the provider to an expectation just the same way that I, as a provider, should hold you to an expectation. So those things should be set out and say, hey, this is what, when we start with somebody new, we say, hey, I need you to give me 90 minutes a week, and you need to complete at least 85% of the workouts. If you don't do those two things, I can't guarantee that you're going to get better. And you kind of like, you good? That good? Like, that's our agreement. You do what I tell you to do. I'll tell you to do the right stuff. Everybody's going to be happy. So that's kind of the conversation that I'd recommend that you have, either with your current provider, if you're looking for somebody to go to. Just some kind of common sense. Make sure they're measuring, make sure they're assessing. And please, for the love of God, if somebody asks you, is the person you're seeing helping you, be able to tell them yes or no. Don't justify somebody who's not measuring for you. Be able to say, yeah, this is my first test. This was my ladder test, and it got better or it didn't. So hopefully that helps. I know we're getting, into the new year. We're a little bit in the off season here. People are thinking about maybe engaging in some programs, or maybe you're doing something and looking to kind of assess, is it worth going another year at it? Those are the metrics that I would use when assessing if a program's working for you or not. So hopefully that helps you make decisions. Hopefully that gives you some input and into realistic expectations of what you should expect or can expect in a rehab or strength and conditioning side of things for golf. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me here on the Bomb Squad. I look forward to catching you in the next episode.